Ahsoka is full of contradictions. She can be compassionate to a fault, but she's also a hardened warrior. Time and time again, we've seen her incredible loyalty to those she cares about, and yet, when she was pushed too far, she left the Jedi Order. She turned her back on the life she knew, and the personal connections she'd built. Over the course of her storyline thus far in the Star Wars franchise, we've seen Ahsoka change from a headstrong Jedi Padawan loyal to the Republic, to an ambiguous and rather solitary Force user fighting the Empire with her fancy white lightsabers. In advance of the new Ahsoka TV series, I thought it would be fun to see if there are any parallels we can draw between philosophy and what we've seen of Ahsoka thus far. First, I want to discuss Ahsoka's pragmatism and what that says about her personal philosophy. When Order 66 was executed to wipe out the Jedi at the end of the Clone Wars, Ahsoka barely escaped. She gave up her lightsabers because it was pragmatic. The new Empire would assume that no Jedi would ever willingly leave their lightsabers behind. While Ahsoka was technically not a Jedi at the time, all the other characters thought she was close enough. At the scene of a massive crash, the discarded lightsabers would be a sign Ahsoka had perished along with all the dead clone troopers. Ahsoka made the pragmatic decision to choose secrecy and anonymity, in the hope it would protect not just her, but also her escaping clone friend Rex. Both Ahsoka and Rex knew their best chance to survive was to be thought dead. It's no secret Star Wars borrows a lot from Eastern traditions. Arguably the most well-known old media influence on Star Wars is Akira Kurosawa's samurai film The Hidden Fortress. It's perhaps no surprise therefore to find parallels between Ahsoka's character and the philosophy of one of the most famous Japanese swordsmen, the duelist Moto Musashi. Musashi wrote his most famous martial text, The Book of Five Rings, in 1643. Superficially, we see that Musashi would approve of Ahsoka leaving her signature weapons behind. After all, he is famous for sayings like, "Do not collect weapons or practice with weapons beyond what is useful," and "do not hold on to possessions you no longer need." But I'm most interested in two deeper elements of Musashi's philosophy that are relevant to all of us: purpose and pragmatism. Most of us at some point will find ourselves asking what our purpose should be, whether it's what to aim for in our next project or job, or the more existential questions about the purpose of life. Musashi is relatively straightforward in his take on this. Purpose comes through finding and following one's individual path. As he puts it, as human beings, it is essential for each of us to cultivate and polish our individual path. However, Musashi indicates that to follow our path, we must respond pragmatically to the circumstances not of an ideal world, but of the real world. We must be flexible. Disintegration is something that happens to everything. When a house crumbles, a person crumbles, or an adversary crumbles, they fall apart by getting out of rhythm with the times. Let's tie this to Star Wars more broadly. In the Clone Wars, the Jedi failed because they were fighting for an ideal democratic republic. Fighting for that republic, they were blind to its transformation as, under Palpatine, it shed its democratic ideals and became the Empire. The Jedi were not pragmatic, but Ahsoka is. Towards the end of the Clone Wars, desperate to find the culprit of a series of terrorist attacks on their temple, the Jedi Council found Ahsoka guilty of the attacks without anything approaching a fair trial. Even after being accepted back, Ahsoka left the Order. This decision made it easier for her to leave behind her old lightsabers when she was forced into hiding. In turn, when she needed to fight the Empire, she built new lightsabers and attacked the Empire head-on to rescue a friend she'd made in her new life in the Outer Rim. She took life as it came and responded realistically to the challenges in front of her. Here's a question that you might not associate with philosophy. How did Ahsoka get those new white lightsabers of hers? Ahsoka constructed new lightsaber hilts using spare parts she found while working as a mechanic hiding from the Empire. The resulting hilts would be inelegant but functional, as E.K. Johnston's novel Ahsoka put it. At the moment I'm writing this, the upcoming Ahsoka show may end up contradicting E.K. Johnston's novel, but I like the novel and it's the best insight we get into Ahsoka's inner thoughts, something that doesn't come across as directly on screen. In E.K. Johnston's novel, Ahsoka built her white lightsabers in order to rescue a friend. Before rescuing Kaden, who is an innocent farm girl caught up in the exploitative plans of the Empire, Ahsoka steeled herself the way any Jedi would. She forced herself to clear her mind of worries. She might not be a Jedi, but she needed to act like one for a little bit longer, as it says in the novel. The thing is, here Ahsoka is weaponizing her Jedi training rather than following it. She is not thinking about what is best in terms of Jedi principles or the will of the Force. She decides to rescue Kaden because she likes Kaden. She feels responsible for the girl, and rescuing Kaden aligns with Ahsoka's personal principles. She wants to detach from troublesome emotions when she rescues Kaden, yes, but the rescue itself is rooted in Ahsoka's guilt for leaving Kaden behind, and her belief that she should stand by her friend. It is rooted in her attachment to Kaden. She tries to find a lightsaber crystal at the old Jedi site of Ilum, but the Empire has turned Ilum into a barren wasteland. It's only mid-rescue, when Ahsoka faces down a dark force user serving the Empire, that she finds what she needs. Unarmed, she defeats the Imperial warrior, damaging his lightsaber. Then she purifies the dark taint on the crystal that powered his lightsaber and uses it to complete 2 new lightsabers with blades that glow white. In a way, discarding her old lightsabers and building new ones can be seen as symbolic of discarding her Jedi identity and embracing a new identity of her own choosing. Now, Ahsoka intends to act based on her own principles and no one else's. The story of Ahsoka fighting the Clone War is over. In her appearance in the Mandalorian episode The Jedi, she infiltrates an enemy outpost in order to find Thrawn. While she will likely continue to pursue Thrawn, will that be it? If not, what larger purpose will Ahsoka forge for herself in a new and complicated galaxy? The Jedi path, appropriately for an order of space monks, is one of non-attachment. Ahsoka's path, the one she has chosen time and time again, is one of attachment. Tying it to another old media influence on Star Wars, Ahsoka has a bit of the fiery pep of Flash Gordon.
Presenting the amazing interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon.
With that in mind, let's turn from the east to the west. Like Musashi, Friedrich Nietzsche believed in the pursuit of an individual path. Be your own source of experience, as he once memorably put it. Nietzsche was a European philosopher born in 1844. He celebrated emotion and passion and saw this as part of a full life. As he wrote in Human All Too Human, among the things that can drive a thinker to despair is the knowledge that the illogical is necessary for man and that much good comes from it. It is so firmly lodged in the passions, in speech, in art, in religion, and generally in everything which endows life with value that one cannot extricate it without doing irreparable damage to those beautiful things. Arguably, it is Anakin's influence that led Ahsoka to develop a positive perspective on attachments, even when they might be irrational. This is particularly clear when we see how attached Anakin and Ahsoka were to each other during the Clone Wars compared to other Jedi. In the Clone Wars episode Weapons Factory, Ahsoka is working with fellow Padawan Barriss Offee to sabotage the droid factory on Geonosis. When Ahsoka and Barriss get caught in a cave-in and are feared dead, Anakin's attachment to Ahsoka is too strong for him to accept anything less than her safe rescue. Luminara Unduli, Barriss's master, is relatively unmoved. Anakin is clearly shocked by Luminara's calm acceptance of the situation. He insists to Luminara that he will not let Ahsoka die. Shortly after this, Ahsoka has fixed a communication device to send out a signal and says more to herself than anyone, "Master, I know you're there and I know you're looking for me." And Barriss, trapped alongside her, shoots a look at her. Is it envy? Resentment? At the very least, I think Barriss is aware how much better Luminara is at accepting the loss of a Padawan compared to Anakin. And afterwards, when Ahsoka and Barriss are rescued, Luminara tells Ahsoka that Anakin never lost faith in her. For Ahsoka, attachment has the connotations of that protective, strong, even irrational bond. Jedi are supposed to retreat from the messiness of attachments. Ahsoka has all too often embraced that messiness in her many adventures during the Clone Wars. In the Clone Wars episode A Friend in Need, Ahsoka is stabbed in the back, metaphorically speaking, by her only separatist friend, Lux. Ahsoka befriended Lux when his mother and Padme tried to arrange peace between the Republic and the Separatists. To stop the peace, Count Dooku killed Lux's mother, and Lux has become obsessed with revenge. That might have all been understandable if Lux hadn't decided, for reasons too complicated to go into here, to knock Ahsoka out, steal her ship, and make a deal with Mandalorian terrorists. The pragmatic action might be for Ahsoka to abandon Lux as soon as possible and get back into Republic territory. Lux is a Separatist after all, and this was back when Ahsoka was a die-hard Jedi committed to the Republic. But Ahsoka's compassion and loyalty to her friend lead her to stand by him, even suffer for him. Before we finish up, I want to tie together the themes we've discussed thus far. Firstly, Ahsoka is walking an individual path. Secondly, she embraces attachments to a degree that is not normal amongst Jedi. She has expressed misgivings about being too attached. In her first appearance in the Mandalorian TV series, she did not want to train Grogu because Grogu's attachment to Din Djarin reminded her of Anakin's attachments and how that led him to the dark side. However, when she confronted Vader, she said she would avenge Anakin, even though it is not the Jedi way. Perhaps we can conclude that Ahsoka's path away from the Jedi is not straightforward. We can expect her to make mistakes and doubt herself, but perhaps that is what will help her find her purpose outside the Jedi. Nietzsche nicely expressed how the dilemma of choosing one's own path is not simple. As he said in Human All Too Human, you have it in your power to merge everything you have lived through, attempts, false starts, errors, delusions, passions, your love and your hope, into your goal with nothing left over. Ahsoka's master, Anakin Skywalker, ended up attached to the people he cared about in a very unhealthy way, of course. The story of the original Star Wars saga centers on how he was warped by the dark side. Ahsoka's story thus far captures a lot of the messiness of life, the conflict between being pragmatic and being kind, when to be loyal versus when to walk away and stand for your own principles. I think this is why her story about leaving the Jedi Order resonates for me. Ahsoka's story will continue to unfold in the new Ahsoka TV series and whatever other future installments the franchise may have in store. We can see that Ahsoka has been molded into a pragmatist by experience, but that hasn't stripped away her concern for other people, and thus she does act out of an attachment to people she chooses to care for or protect. Furthermore, Ahsoka is evolving over time as she diverges from the Jedi path and cultivates a path of her own. Personally, I'm not interested in a story about Ahsoka's attachments pulling her to the dark side, because that's been done before with other characters. I want to see how she'll evolve in her attempts to cultivate her individual path. After all, many of us do have to navigate life without a map. The best decision for our future isn't always easy to see. That's why I find Ahsoka's story interesting and meaningful. She knows what she doesn't want to be, but who she will become is up in the air, and she has to shape that person moment by moment as she inches forward in the dark. But what do you think? Do you have your own take on Ahsoka's philosophy? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Have a great day and thank you for watching.